Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Sever7, and today we are checking out the Kansept Knives Tipper, and that's with the ultimate goal of seeing if it's worth adding to your collection or your daily carry. Now, this was sent to me by the Lefty Pass-Around group. This was designed by Edgy Blade Works, and the OEM for this knife is Kansept. And I was done filming this video, like I was in the last 30 seconds of it, and sure enough, the blade came down, sliced me right up. So can't show blood on YouTube, so I just scrapped it and I'm starting over. So here we are. Ugh. I mean, this thing barely touched me. User error for sure. Nothing wrong with the knife. It was definitely on me. It's just, it's a pretty stout blade. And, ka-chunk. So, anyway. So the first thing I want to say is, I appreciate all the love and support, guys. You've been amazing. One issue I'm running into is that there's no way for me to monetize with links because the share sale website is transitioning, which means I have no access to 99.9% of affiliate links. And then obviously I'm not monetized on YouTube yet. So I spent about 240 bucks a month on shipping. I have a PayPal and Cash App linked in the description. Every $1 or $2 goes a tremendously far way. So if your knives are paid for, if your bills are paid, if your family's happy, safe, and sound, and you have like $2 and you're like, man, I wish I could just burn this and just get rid of it because I don't want it, I don't need it, then it would be super appreciated. I don't want anybody to go crazy. You don't have to send, anything too extra. Just a buck or two would be awesome to just help take the edge off. All right, anyway, let's jump into the review. So, for starters, we've got this flame tiger stripe anodization. The scales, and that is front and back. The scales are smooth to the touch, but chalky. And I know that texture drives some people crazy. Normally, it would drive me crazy. It's really not bad, but it is kind of chalky for the people that hate that feeling. We have T8 for the pivot screws, and we have, I want to say T6s everywhere else. Let me double check though. This is, yep, T6. Okay. Okay, so it looks like this and this are T8s. This and this are also T8s. It's the pocket clip screws that are the T6s. And then we have a medium carry milled titanium pocket clip. The shape of this clip is nice. It's just a little pokey right here. But overall it goes in and out of the pocket really easy, and I've really enjoyed it. I also think it adds to the design too. Now it's not going to be lefty friendly. It's not a neutral clip. So, that's kind of a bummer, non-reversible. But overall, for the clip itself, I think it was executed really, really well. Probably help if I had this on screen for you guys. We do have a partial back spacer, and that's anodized titanium. And then we have no spot for lanyards. We do have some internal milling for weight reduction, but not as much as I would have thought. This knife is pretty hefty. Now, as far as the ergonomics, this knife is super comfortable, and it's kind of a classic handle profile. We've got a spot for our finger right here, and we've got this gunner grip that allows us to get full purchase on the handle, and then we've got this nice round gunner grip that's going to be sitting right in our palm. So it makes it comfortable, but it also kind of locks you in because you've got this, this piece back here that you can hold on to. So I really like this handle shape. It just feels more secure. It's very comfortable, allows the knife to melt into your hand. And what's great is this naturally comes into your palm. And in this position, the pocket clip completely disappears. So there's no hot spots. Even if, like right now, I'm bearing down pretty hard. You can see my knuckles. The only hot spot squeezing that hard would be right up in here, just the lock bar, because it stands proud of the front scale. So if you squeeze hard enough, you're going to feel that. Otherwise, very comfortable knife. It is butt heavy, but it's still about where you want it because this is going to be where your finger sits, which is going to give the knife a balanced, even though it's heavy. I would rather have a knife that's heavier and balanced than a knife that's just light, right? So, because I feel like it gives me more control. So since it's balanced, I can pinch right here, and I can do my draw cuts. I can do my utility cuts. I can get this second tip down really easy and use it. It's going to be almost impossible to use this tip without arching your arm way up. So I would probably use this as my primary tip, use this for my slicing, and then use this as like a secondary belly. I mean, to each their own. It depends on what you're doing with it, but that's how I've been using the knife. And then as far as jimping goes, we don't have any jimping. I don't think we need it because of how locked in we are. I mean, don't get me wrong, jimping's always nice. But with how locked in we are right here, and with this gunner grip in hand, and this little tiny kind of a poon, not really, but with this little ramp, it also helps further lock you in, right? So I still feel solid right here. Like I don't feel like I'm going to slip forward or nothing like that. So, I feel like the ergonomics of the knife are taking the place of jimping, and I'm not really missing the jimping on this one. I wonder, can you? I actually haven't tried to use it this way. Oh, okay, this is much better. Yeah, that gives you a lot of control. Okay, I like that. This, not so much. This, awesome. Now, as far as the blade goes, holy cow. So, for starters, we have a Damascus blade, and this is, I want to say, nearly a full flat. I mean, we've got the blade stock, pretty thick blade stock, but then I don't know if you can see it, but we have the flat right here, and then it tapers off pretty quickly, and then we're flat grind. So I don't want to say it's a full flat, but it's pretty darn close to it. Now, whenever we have Damascus, that's the combination of two different steels. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Kansept uses a 10 CR and a 9 CR mix for their Damascus, which I mean isn't terrible. I don't know exactly how those properties function together, but I believe the core would be 10 CR, and then the rest of like the you know what, I'm going to pause right there because while I understand how it works in my head, I'm going to sound like a dummy trying to explain it. So I'm just going to say I believe it's a 10 CR and 9 CR combination, which is going to give it less overall performance than the S35 VN that I believe they use for the non-Damascus blades. But it's still going to perform just fine for daily use and EDC tasks. As far as the detent goes, well, here, and actually, I want to say one more thing about the blade shape. Nobody agrees with me. Everyone says they don't see it. And maybe it's just me. And let me know in the comments. But, and I'm not saying copy. I'm not saying stolen design. But to me, this knife is very reminiscent of the Norseman. The one that kind of looks like it's, the horse kind of. To me, this is reminiscent. I mean, yeah, there's plenty of differences, right? I don't think the Norseman has a secondary tip. The Norseman's obviously longer, but I kind of get those vibes here. Like if somebody was like, man, I really want a Norseman, but I have like no money. So what would be the closest thing to a budget Norseman? I would recommend this. I mean, Norseman's a great design, but I just look at this and I get that feeling. And it's possible it's because the outer part of the blade is thicker, than, well, almost thicker. I guess this point here is a little bit higher, but maybe because it gets wider as you go out. I don't know. Let me know in the comments though if I'm insane or if anybody else can kind of see it too, because so far everyone else has told me I'm crazy. And once again, I'm not saying it's identical. I'm just saying it's a little reminiscent of, right? Whenever I look at this, my first thought was, oh, looks like a budget Norseman. So now let's talk about the detent a little bit. We've got reverse flick. We've got thumb flick. And the detent is, the detent itself is a medium strength detent. Then you have the weight of the blade. So it's gonna, while the detent itself is medium, this is gonna, this is gonna feel a little bit stronger than medium, specifically because, you know, it's a pretty hefty blade. But overall, the action on this is very enjoyable. We're snappy on the way up. We're snappy on the way down. The acoustics are very full-bodied. And then we've got very controlled action on the way down. Not guillotine. Not quite the hydraulic action that we like to see. It's just the blade's heavy enough that it hits a certain point. But the action on this is very smooth. Lock bar access. You can see how much access we have right there. Super easy. And while the clip isn't reversible, I'm going to say this is lefty friendly because of how much room you get back here to manipulate the knife and not put pressure on the lock bar. So while the pocket clip isn't reversible, this wouldn't be too difficult for a lefty to operate. There we go. Now the overall length is going to be 7.9 inches. Blade length is 3.38 inches. And that's going to give us a 0.74 or a 74% blade to handle ratio. Some size comparisons, we'll put it up against the milled aluminum Civivi brazen. And we're coming in about, hold on, there's a fly. Got him. Sorry about that, guys. He was big and gross. So let me just put him in the trash. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. I had to get rid of him, but I also didn't want to reshoot the video, so hopefully you stuck it out through that little fly slaying adventure. All right, so these are coming in pretty darn close to the same length. Civivi brazen beats it out by maybe 1/4 of an inch. It looks more drastic on your side because of the angle, but in reality, it's about 1/4 of an inch. And let's put it up against the Real Steel Sylph. Fantastic knife. Recommend it to anybody. And we'll go ahead and put it up against the ProTech manual integrity. And it's almost the exact same size as the ProTech integrity. So if you're used to that knife, if you've handled this, then that's kind of what you can expect size-wise out of the tipper. The weight on the tipper is coming in at 4.69 ounces, so it is hefty. We're definitely way beyond the inch per ounce that we like to see. And but like I said, with it being balanced, it's really not that bad. So what's the price on this? For the Kansept Tipper, you're looking at a base price of $168. And if you go to White Mountain Knives and you use my code S7, which I don't get paid for, it just lets them know that I'm promoting his website because I believe in it. If you use S7, you're going to get about 17 bucks off that, putting you at about 151. Now, do I think it's worth 151? I think at 168, this knife is worth it. I was actually surprised at how utilitarian this blade is. I thought it was going to be cumbersome. I thought it was going to be kind of a pain and that I was going to have to force myself to use it. But in reality, no, that second tip comes in really clutch, and it's not so predominant of a tip that you can't get down and still kind of rock. If you do cuts like that, you can get up here on what is the primary edge, but I use it secondary. You can get up here and you can rock as well if you need to. You can slice. You can slice from the tip. It's just really utilitarian. And with how tall the blade is, I was able to slide through boxes like nobody's business. So just based on raw utility, the look is polarizing. I like it. I don't care for the flame tie. I would get a different version. I also don't care for this Damascus. It seems a bit dull. But it's a great value for 168. Like they're trying to give you as much as they can, as much flare as possible for 168. So would I carry it? Yeah, absolutely. Before I used it, probably not. But once I started putting it to the test and actually using it daily, yeah, this thing's a delight to carry. It's fidgety, it's functional, it's comfortable. Really everything you could want in an EDC knife. Now, for me, this would not be a collection piece, though. This would just be a user, right? So I wouldn't add it to my official collection. I would just use it for like regular daily EDC stuff. This knife is super recommendable. It's not, and it's weird to say this, but it's not often that you get great ergonomics, high utility blade shape, super fidgety, and you're going to get that with a well executed plunge grind. So you get plenty of life out of this. Not only that, but it's a conversation starter, right? Like anybody can pull out the Civivi Altus, and these knives will essentially do the same thing, right? Utility wise. But this is just, this is just a knife. This here actually has some design elements that give it some character, which I always appreciate. Whenever companies go above and beyond without jacking the price up. I mean, I could see the same knife with other companies in this territory costing $200, right? But Kansept does a great job of giving you flair on the low. And at 168, well, in reality, 151, I think this is a tremendous value. So yeah, I can wholeheartedly recommend this. Do me a favor, drop a comment down below and let me know if this would make it into your daily carry, if it would make it into your collection, but also let me know if you can see the Norseman or if I'm just a psycho, because I would really love to know your guys' opinions. Now, if you like the video, hit the like button. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe, and you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Sever7, SEVR, That's SEVR, if you want to support the channel by assisting with shipping, the Cashapp and PayPal are going to be down in the comments. Don't go overboard. I don't want anybody sending, we got Blade Show right around the corner. So we got to pinch pennies for that. We got the Strix pre-order coming up, right? So I don't want anybody to, I think $10 would be overkill. But $1, $2, $3, that would be super helpful. So I would appreciate it. Other than that, that's really all we have, guys. Yeah. So I just want to say I appreciate you so much, and until the next time, peace.